It's a great honor to be able to represent Trinidad and Tobago rugby. It was my first honor to represent on the pitch, and now I'm taking my game into governance.
What made you decide to go up for this post?
So I was asked by members of the community, and because I believe this is a position of service, whatever the community asks for, I will endeavor to provide.
You know, you speak about service to the community. Rugby is, in essence, a big part of the community in Trinidad and Tobago. You have the likes of, Caraba and Northerns in the north. You have Rainbow and Exiles in south. You know, and quite a few clubs around the country that gives you that kind of community vibe. Do you see this as a strong point for rugby?
It's absolutely a strong point for rugby. It's something that impacted me when I first came to Trinidad and Tobago. In playing rugby here, you can go to different clubs in different areas, and it actually feels like you're on an international tour to a certain extent because we have such a diverse culture in Trinidad and Tobago.
You mentioned coming to Trinidad and Tobago. What made you make that decision?
Well, my heritage is partially from Trinidad and Tobago, and I really wanted to have the experience. I was tired of people telling me that I was, a tourist. So I wanted to be the real deal, and yes, that was 10 years ago, and I haven't left. I love it here.
You know, going back into the rugby itself, what are your thoughts on the state of the game locally?
So we have a lot of challenges that we need to overcome in the game locally. COVID-19 has come and put a stop to everything right now. But of course, we've already put plans in place, and we're setting up the infrastructure so that we can safely, when we can safely return to play, we can come back stronger than we were in 2019.
Tell us about the composition of this board, and how do you feel about what you all can do to take rugby forward?
I feel that we have a good representation on the board for the community that we serve. Don has tons of energy, tons of ideas, and he's a person who will just take an idea and run with it. He'll get on the field and he'll implement it. Rochelle Tracy Panton has so much experience in her professional life that she really adds that level of professionalism, and working with our secretariat, I think that's a huge asset for us, especially right now when we're setting up so much administrative infrastructure.
You know, one of the things we all accomplished was a goal set out by the International Rugby Union of having a 60-40 representation on the board in terms of female representation as well. How do you feel about accomplishing that goal as well?
We're very proud to have accomplished that goal, and I think the strength in that is the fact that rather than using 50% of our resources, we are making a point of using 100% of our resources, and this is going to benefit everyone in rugby. The coaches and managers for our national technical teams have the same representation, and it's because we have such a great depth of expertise within the community that we are able to achieve this.
You know, it's a challenging time. COVID-19, you have taken the role of president in a very challenging time. What are some of your goals to take rugby forward, or to keep the rugby personnel active during this time?
So we're able to do that through setting up a virtual platform, which is on its way. We're in conversations to set up a series of webinars. And one of the goals within this is to make sure that we engage people within our own community and work on collaborations with others within Trinidad and Tobago, within the Caribbean region, and even in the world.
I know from my recent experience and from what I've seen, there's been a push to also get young women involved in rugby. What are your plans, or what are your hope for that aspect of rugby in Trinidad and Tobago?
Absolutely. We've definitely seen where there are many young women getting involved in rugby. Quanice John has done a great job with the Schoolgirls League and really reaching a lot of young women. Don has been an integral part of schools rugby and the boys side of things. Really, it's about reaching out to the people who have committed their time and expertise to these programs and giving them the tools that they need to be successful. One of the positive things about youth rugby is that youth are very accustomed to using a virtual platform. So I think that it is definitely achievable to engage them in a virtual platform to carry us through until we can play on the field again.
What are your hopes at, when your tenure is reviewed in some way, that you would want to accomplish and be satisfied with?
I definitely want to see that we engage more people in the community, not only at a level of participation, but in the levels of governance, coaching, and management. I think that often we look outside of ourselves to build and to get different resources, and I believe that we have those resources here, and I think we have those resources to share with other people around the world. So people have definitely shown that there's an interest. They want to know what makes Trinidad and Tobago rugby tick. How is it that we're possible to perform at the level that we do, even when we don't have as many international competitions as the teams we're playing against do? And I think we have a lot to share and offer. So through collaboration, we can have mutually beneficial projects that we can take on.
What do you say? What would you say are the strengths? Some of the things that we could improve on in local rugby.
So I think it's important that we have continuity and that we build on what has already been put in place. So Curtis Nero, he stayed on as our treasurer, and that's an example within the board where we have continuity. And I think that talking to people throughout the community who maybe haven't been as active, we can really access that history and that knowledge. Because I could say from playing with enthusiasts for a long time, there's so much that I learned about Trinidad and Tobago rugby that I would not know if I hadn't had that experience. And I think it's important to share that because there's a lot of good lessons that the youth can learn and a lot of the camaraderie that comes along with rugby is held in those kind of reserves. Well, what Trinidad and Tobago can expect from our team is that we're going to work very hard. We're going to listen to your concerns. We're going to do everything that we can to open up channels and create opportunities, even though we can't play on the pitch, and to set up the infrastructure for rugby when we can return to the pitch. I would just also add that Kenwin Davis, who is the Assistant Secretary Treasurer, is another aspect that we've added to the dynamic of the board, where we have people who are dedicated to taking their extra personal time to making sure that we can execute and implement the things that we talk about.